Hey guys, figured I'd do an update on where we're at. Chickens got out, tore up this bed. I guess I'm gonna have to get some kind of little fencing to put in here because I had it looking pretty decent and then they came and did their thing, which is fine. It's frustrating. Knocked a bunch of stuff around. I need to clean that up. So the perennial garden, I have plans for the perennial garden next year to try and get some more perennial plants in here. You know, it's just kind of trial and error. I try a lot of stuff, and then if it lasts, great. If it doesn't, we try again. Bay laurel looks great. I'm hoping my winged pea comes back, but I'm also going to try again to plant some more. I need to get back here and weed. I have weeded here. I have not weeded over here. But I need to get over here and do that, and the pathways all need to get weeded. So, but I think they're card. I'll have to look up the name, but there's a leek that I got off of Baker Creek that was supposed to be somewhat perennial, so but not such a clump forming perennial leek, just like more like these guys where they kind of make a big one afterwards. Those are Babington leeks right there. But anyway, also right here, what I'm going to try and do, I've got 2 gummy berries. I have one in the front yard. I know they do well here. So I'm going to plant 2 of those here and probably a couple of blueberry bushes. There's 1 blueberry bush right there. I'm going to plant a couple more here. Those are perennial, but also I have found, it's called Elmer's ground cherry from Experimental Farm Network that is supposedly perennial, like a hit and miss perennial, like plant it and see which ones come back perennial. So I'm going to try and put that because that's like a low growing ground cover also in here. So we'll have perennial berries and ground cherries. There's also ground cherry like Peruviana longifolia. I think that is native to our area. I'm going to probably plant that kind of back here, maybe along here, because that spreads through rhizomes. That kind of stuff tends to get out of control quick. As you can see by this is Stachys betony, Florida betony. It has taken over everything. Now, that frustrates me, but it also makes these little grub-like tubers that you can eat, and they're really good in the spring. They're very crispy. They're kind of like a radish, maybe? I don't know. I can't explain it unless you're growing them, but man, like one little one got back here, and it literally has taken up like this whole area. I have to get in and fight it. I mulched my Catuks really heavy with some pine shavings in the hopes that maybe that will sustain them over our winters. It has not gotten really cold yet. January and February tend to be our coldest months, so I'm expecting that to hit and really break down anything that hasn't already died. But a lot of the cold season weeds that do survive very well through all of that cold stuff are coming back. So I need to get in here and weed all that stuff out. I need to take some of the vines down that I haven't taken down yet. But there are some lemon, I think it's called horse mint that I've seen out here that got like self-seeded because I had some horse mint right there. So I'm leaving those. I can see a couple of them. There's one right there. This canna lily is going to come back, and that's a starchy tuberous root type canna lily that we can eat. My saffron crocus is doing well here, and those are walking onions. This is my pomegranate, also doing well. This is where I stopped weeding. You can see these are getting to the point, right? This is perennial arugula. The seed pods are getting brown and they will split soon, which means I'm going to have a bunch of babies. I've seen the bees all over it, so I kind of keep putting it off. I can't put it off any longer. I know some of these seed pods are probably already split, and I'll deal with that in the spring. The pear tree looks fine. Hubs came out and very nicely for, I really much appreciate him doing that. Cut down all of these asparagus for me so that I can get back here and weed. It's really intimidating to get back here and weed because there's so much chickweed. And I don't look forward to this at all, but it needs to be done. I've got to clean this area up and get it ready. There is something called Korean celery. I'm growing it in the perennial vegetable garden bed, but it does not do really well in hot climates. But I was thinking about either putting it here or maybe back there because this gets very, very shady. And I was wondering if it would like survive or do well in the shade. This is a very deep shade, but this is the south, right? So it's very shady, but it's also very hot. So I'm kind of curious. They're expensive, they're hard to find, so I'm not sure if I'm going to do this or not, but I'm playing with the idea of putting a couple back here and seeing if they survive. I'll probably also put some okra here next year. The roselle was nice, but it didn't flower, and not roselle, cranberry hibiscus. And I'm kind of going back and forth between whether I want to grow cranberry hibiscus or roselles. I like the calyx of roselle because you can turn them into a jelly if you want, and a tea. And the cranberry hibiscus is like a nice green, but essentially that's what it is, like a leafy green and a tea. So I'm not sure if that's worth, it's beautiful, but I don't know if it's worth the space. The ginger will come back, assuming we don't have some freak winter where it's like 4 degrees or something. It's a random elephant garlic or Babington leek, one or the other over there. My Yaupon holly looks so pretty. All these berries. The birds love it. This is the only native plant to the United States that contains caffeine. So if you strip these leaves, and the female version, one that makes berries is the female version, right? Have a higher caffeine content than the male. And the weeping version actually has a higher caffeine content than the normal for some reason. So this needs to get cleaned out. This aster has frozen, so I need to cut it back, get rid of it. But a lot of the perennials I planted in the fall, because it's been so mild so far, really haven't died back yet. The zinnias have, which is fine. I was hoping and expecting that, but those will probably die back, most of them a little bit, and then I'll just have to clean it up. So much weeding. You would think like you get a break in wintertime, but not where I live, because winter does not kill the weeds. The weeds come in force in the wintertime, whereas in the summertime it's like so hot they're barely hanging on for the most part. I have some very sad little broccolis. You can see kind of the frost damage on some of these, so I'm gonna leave them there. I'll cut these tops when they get a little bigger. It's still fairly dry. I'd like to come out here and water this. The bee bed, flower bed, looking great. Most of the stuff that I planted in here is, well, not most, pretty much all of it is perennial or self-seeds readily. So everything I planted in the fall that's come up and should grow through the fall seems to be doing really well. I'm hopeful that we'll have pretty flowers here next year. I forgot the name of this rose. It's a really famous rose, Peggy Martin rose. Still looks great. It's putting on new growth actually, even this late in the summer. The garlics I planted here are doing well. Get this grass up. That was like a spare broccoli that had like no roots on it that I planted here, and it just loves it. So all of these broccolis are looking good. We don't have any really heads forming yet, which is fine. I'm okay with that. I just took the covers off them this week. That I need to cut down. That's a mealy sage. Like I said, you can see like it's coming up new growth in the bottom because it's been so mild, but it's gonna get really cold, so I need to cut that stuff down, mulch it. We just got to get a little bit of mulch at a time as we get paid, you know. So the mountain mint in here doesn't look great. It's not dead, but it doesn't look great. Mountain mint here looks super happy. So these are a type of, I think, gailong maybe. Can't remember exactly, but they're really sensitive to the frost, you can see. But they put up little sprouts of broccoli, little baby broccoli sprouts, and they'll continue to do that as long as they don't die in the frost, which may happen, you know. That's just kind of where we're at. But also these along the very edge are some multiplier onions that I put in last year, and everything in the middle, these smaller onions, are Ailsa Craig onions, which do get rather large in my area. So they're not a long day variety. Or short day? I'm a short day. They're not a short day variety, but they do really well. I had this so much better, and then the chickens got out yesterday and they just tore it up, so I'm gonna have to fix that area again and then hopefully fence it off so they can't get in. I am so happy about these greens that I planted. These cabbages are ready. This is a ready cabbage, Chinese cabbages. So hopefully I'm gonna make some kimchi with those, and there's a couple more over here. I forget what these are called, but they are very tasty. They're just probably a mustard if I had to like guess. I can't tell you the name, but they're probably mustard. They look like one. Anyway, they're really good green. And I'm gonna harvest most of these hopefully this week and make some kimchi or some fermented greens, because it's gonna get cold enough where these will just pretty much die if I don't put what's it called? The cloth. The flannel cloth. And I don't have any of that, and I don't feel like dealing with that. So, that's a theater view. That's still there. Cut back the Peruvian ground cherry. I don't expect it will come back, but you never know. So that's what happened to this bed. It's like, wah-wah. So I might need to look into that in the spring. This has stayed pretty good. These are some chamomile plants. I thought I had some more of it. Maybe I was mistaken. And a couple of carrots that I'll just leave to get big and maybe go to seed. This looks terrible. I gotta weed this too. I want to put a bigger fence like here to keep the chickens out, and then take this fence down so because the chickens won't be in here. So we'll see how that all goes. I cut back the goji berries. We're gonna kind of change some of the location of these T-posts and then make those fence cylinders a little better placed. But hopefully next year I'll have a little more control. We'll see. I mean, best laid plans don't always come to fruition. So squirrels been getting up in here. Pretty happy though. This is my Garnet Mountain. Well, no, this is a red onion I put in from my kitchen. This is the red garnet multiplier onion. Some coreopsis over here and here, and an alpine strawberry, which is always kind of iffy around here. I do need to trim back this rose. The hazelnut's gotten really big. Probably gonna cut some of the cross branching off of that. Garlics are looking great so far this year. This one row, which is kind of like under that shelf, doesn't look great. Doesn't look great at all, and I don't know why. I'm gonna try and fertilize it and see if we can get it to bounce back. Need to clean up the old vines here. Need to cut those things down back there. But yeah, I'm actually pretty pleased. I'm wondering if that's rust on my elephant garlic or if that's just a nutrient deficiency. We'll see. I will water that and fertilize that, and we'll see how that looks in a little bit. Chickens be scratching. Okay, hold on. Ugh. Shade garden looks good. I kind of want to fence it off though to keep the chickens from getting in there again because they've torn it up. And surprisingly, the water celery is still alive. The duckweed normally is good through the winter, but the obedient plants just took over that pot. So yeah, the little pond is looking nice. You guys need to be quiet. Y'all are so grumpy this morning. Okay, let's see. Why is there black feathers, guys? What have y'all been doing? I have not been back here in a hot minute to weed or anything, so clearly I need to get in here and weed. Babington leeks are looking good. The mint in there and celery is looking nice in there. I need to get in there. I can see some weeds. I need to weed in here. The guys, shh, y'all being too loud. It's been such a mild summer. Look, my marshmallows come up like it thinks it's spring. It's not spring. It's not spring. Calendula is okay. Some of them died or got dug up by a squirrel, more likely, because this looks like squirrel digging. Need to take down that basil, but everything looks pretty good so far. Cut back the sugarcane, mulch the bejeebus out of it to try and keep it warm over the winter so it'll come back. The potatoes did come up and then came down, right, expectedly, but they have been heavily mulched, so in the spring they should come up, and by the time I'm ready to plant probably peppers in here, they'll be ready to get dug up. I have sweet peas that are here. I've been trying to get them trained up. They keep flopping over. The celery looks fabulous. I'm really happy with the celery. Again, celery is one of those things that does really well until we get a hard frost. So I usually do try to throw like a sheet over it before we get a hard frost. It will die back on the edges, but typically come back in the center. And so by spring, I'm still usually getting some decent, decent sized stalks. They're not the kind you get at the store, right? But they're decent, and they taste the same. So that's the one. This is the one winter crop I kind of baby to try and make sure I actually have some, because it loves cold weather, but it hates freezing weather. And let's see over here. I've got to clean up over here. Ugh. That was all stuff from the front yard that we need to burn, but there's burn ban in effect, so it's just going to sit here and look ugly for a while. Turnips. All my turnips is doing good. Look at these beautiful turnips. I've got to get out here. And prune this grapevine. It's just one of those things I don't want to do. Y'all know what I mean? I just don't want to do it. Anyway, gotta get it done. But I'm really happy about the turnips. I haven't actually come out here and looked at them, so they're not bulbing up yet, which is to be expected, but they are doing fine. They will do fine through pretty much any frost we have, or freezes we have. The turnips will come back fine on freezes and frost. This is the Korean celery I did buy. This was the leaf that came with it. It's put up new leaves. It's very happy in cool weather. I'm just concerned about its staying power in the heat, which is why I put it where I did, because these raspberry bushes, theoretically, will shade it. Again, this is south, right? And so we've got a fence. I've got a tall trellis. I'm hoping to grow some beans on again next year. So this is about the only part of this garden that does get some sun during the day, which is also why I put the raspberries where I did. But it's one of the cooler spots in my garden. So we'll see how it goes. I'm not, it's an experiment. If it works, even if it doesn't work, I may actually get some other ones and put them in the perennial garden just to kind of hedge bets and see what works best. I did cut that grapevine back there. I don't like this grapevine. It's just too much. I don't like getting back there because of it. So I'm just gonna, hopefully, I'm sure it will try to come back next year, but we'll just kind of try to stay on top of it. And then these are perennial leeks. Those are perennial leeks. I'll probably dig up, that's a lot of clumps right there. I'll probably dig that clump up. And I may dig this up too. In the spring, I typically try to give these away or sell them for very cheap on Facebook. I do have some Green Mountain multiplier onions that are already multiplying. So those will just get bigger and bigger. I lost almost all of my crop last year to mold. So pretty excited to have these at all. So I'm looking forward to that. One of the least favorite tasks I will do in the spring for all of my ponds is emptying them out and cleaning them out. It's unfun. It's gross. It's wet. It's slimy. I don't love it, but part of the job. So kind of glad I did this tour with you guys, because I'm seeing some stuff I've forgotten about, like that basil, and reminding myself of some things I know I need to get done. And so yeah, it's weird because I have all these other people I watch on YouTube and they're like, let's get your seeds started for spring and da da da. In short season areas, maybe that's the case for you guys, but where I live, my first frost or last frost date is April 15th. Okay, so if I count back 6 weeks, March 1st, that's the very latest I would need to start stuff like tomatoes or peppers. So generally around about Valentine's Day, I'll start my stuff, but it's like this weird thing where I watch videos that make me a little anxious, and then I have to like remind myself I don't really need to do any of that. So don't stress, guys. Don't stress. If you're in like the lower area, 6, 7, 8, 9, you're fine. Earlier, you guys do have to get your stuff going because your growing season is so short. But anyway, guys, I hope you're having a wonderful winter. I hope you had a great New Year. I do have at least four of my blueberry cuttings that are not 5. They're not brown. They're not rotten. I might actually have some little blueberry plants, which I'm planning to put over there in that perennial bed, right? That I would love to not have to buy blueberry plants, because I know these ones, I love the berries on them, and they stay pretty short, like 2 or 3 feet. So, all right, guys, I'll see you guys next time.